hear us here shortly, but I'll just make sure everything's running before I give the show over to you, Elise. So just a moment. It says it's setting up the meeting, but I think we're now live streaming. We should be live streaming on Facebook as well. I see we have more people tuning in right now. It's 1 minute to 1 o'clock, so I will wait until 1 o'clock exactly for us to get started. Thanks to all you early birds who are here, and you are in for a treat. Happy Labor Day. I'm Tiffany Balducci, President of Durham Region Labour Council. So happy that you could join us for our virtual Labor Day celebration extravaganza, and so happy to have you here. And you are in for a fun-filled at least 2 hours. We had a lot of videos submitted, and with that, recognizing that, I'm just watching the clock because we are going to start right at 1 o'clock. We know people might be tuning in and out throughout the course of the next 2 hours. We will make sure that this is able to be seen after the fact. People are at work today doing other things, so we want to make sure that this will be also available after. But we're at 1 o'clock now, so with that, I will give it over to Elise Lelai, who's done so much work on this, and we're so happy to have Elise help host this event today. Over to you, Elise.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Happy Labor Day, everyone, and welcome to the virtual celebration for the Durham Region Labour Council for Labor Day. Our theme this year is a plan for progress, a plan for action. And today we'll be having a bunch of presentations from various groups. So we'll be beginning with a welcome and land recognition, followed by hearing from some community activist groups, celebrating some Black labor leaders in our community. We'll then have music by Postman Dan. Then we'll hear some virtual videos by labor union leaders. We'll have a story time with Jamie LaRose. We'll then hear from some politicians. We'll then hear about the Durham Region Labour Council's food drive. And then finally, we'll hear from Kim Kent, the Canadian Labour Congress representative, and closing remarks from Tiffany, the president of the Durham Region Labour Council. To begin, we'd like to start with a land recognition. So we are coming together today from our homes in places all across Durham. In honoring the ability to gather, we recognize the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who continue to live and care for this land and have continued to do so for many millennia. Part of each of our reconciliation efforts compels us to know and understand our colonialist history, the devastating destruction it has caused, and ways it continues to damage the lives of many. Specifically, we reflect and remember the murdered and missing Two-Spirit Indigenous women and girls. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we witnessed an even clearer view of the disparities in our shared space, and we work diligently each day to ensure the prosperity of all peoples. Today, we also stand in solidarity with land defenders at 1492 Landback Lane, as we are continuing to see land defenders and allies being arrested throughout this entire week. Next, we'll be beginning by celebrating some community activist groups who have put together some videos and will be speaking live in person today as well. To begin, we'll start with the Durham Migrant Agricultural Workers Network. We'd like to begin by thanking Julia McCree for putting together this amazing presentation about the Durham Migrant Agricultural Workers Network for 2020. The network supports seasonal and temporary migrant agricultural workers in the Durham region. They're made up of volunteers, paid staff, folks from the labor community and faith organizations who are committed to addressing living and working conditions of seasonal and temporary migrant agricultural workers. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic conditions have limited the types of support work to farm/gate curbside pickup, drops of bicycles, food, laptops, clothing, and other requested goods. Telephone, Facebook, and email outreach have also been used to keep everyone safe and ensure that everyone is socially distancing. Brief visits are now taking place at prearranged drops of food and goods. Here's a picture from workers from the Caribbean islands who have been receiving culturally appropriate food donations from people in the community and from the network. Here are some pictures of some workers from Mexico who are living here in Durham, who are doing work supporting us here. Some of the successes in 2020 for the network include no migrant agricultural workers that have become sick with COVID-19 in the Durham region to date. We also remember the 3 migrant workers who were killed from the COVID-19 pandemic virus this past year. Governments and food banks have prioritized migrant farm workers as vulnerable population for support. Ongoing supporters carried on. AIDS Committee of Durham Region obtained a summer student placement from Trillium College. A community developmental service worker program student, Elizabeth Espinoza. The Anglican Church Toronto Diocese continued funding for the Durham Migrant Agricultural Worker Ministry by Reverend Augusto Nunes, ministers at the Anglican churches in Beaverton, Orono, and Oshawa actively support the network, as well as volunteers from St. John's. The Brock Community Health Center staff also extended outreach, and community volunteers helped with administration, outreach, locating goods, and fixing and delivering bicycles. It's also important to remember that these workers also need to have a place for wellness. So folks have also organized programming during the day, which includes food and soccer balls and soccer games. We'd also like to shout out new supporters and donors in 2020, which are the folks that you can see listed on the slide here. Here are some photos that folks have also put into the presentation for folks to see the people that are actually growing and making the food that we're eating at our tables. The current needs as we move into fall 2020 include hoodies, rubber boots, rain jackets, pants, and luggage. Donations for the Durham Migrant Agricultural Workers Network are welcome at the AIDS Committee of Durham Region, Feed the Need Durham, the Durham Region Migrant Worker Ministry, and the Migrant Workers Alliance for Change. We also want to give a huge thanks to all of the activists, supporters, and community groups who have continued to do the work of the network. So thank you to all the folks that are listed here. Next, we'll be hearing a video by the Migrant Workers Alliance for Change.
We want strong and prominent immigration status for all.
Permanent immigration status ensures that we migrants are able to protect ourselves. This is the time for the government of Canada to acknowledge its right and act to make this happen. Cuando guardé silencio, no pasó nada. Tenemos que seguir luchando para que todos tengamos vidas dignas y seguras.
We invest everything we have to build our future here, but we have no protection or support if something goes wrong. We have no guarantee that our work will pay off and that we'll be allowed to stay.
Especially during this time of COVID, it's time for us to realize how interdependent we are.
In Canada, the rules are equal for everybody, but when we are trying for your employer because of your immigration status, the rules are not equal anymore.
Es difícil pasar por esta situación, pero voy a luchar hasta el final y no voy a parar hasta lograr un cambio. Y estoy aquí junto a todos ustedes exigiendo la residencia permanente para todos y todas y todos los migrantes. Respeto y igualdad para todos.
Status for all, time is now. Status for all, time is now.
Thank you to the Migrant Workers Alliance for Change for the Status for All video. We encourage folks to also take part in the Day of Action that's upcoming this September 20th. Next, we are going to hear from the community activist group We Are Oshawa.
Greetings from We Are Oshawa Executive Committee. My name is Jesse Cullen. We want to wish happy Labor Day to workers everywhere, particularly here in Durham Region. It is a time for workers to unite to confront racism, police brutality, the climate crisis, and the systems that created it. Intersecting global crises, such as a global economic crisis, a global health crisis, and a climate crisis, can only be addressed through through the working poor and the poor uniting to address and confront these issues. On today and every day, we wish all workers justice in the workplace, and we'll continue to recommit to that fight every day. Thank you.
Thank you to We Are Oshawa for submitting this video and your Labor Day greetings. Next, we'll hear from the environmental justice group, Fridays for Future.
Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa, she, her pronouns.
And I'm Adeline, she, her pronouns. We're here to wish you all a very happy Labor Day from Fridays for Future Whitby.
At Fridays for Future Whitby, we've been busy working in solidarity with Indigenous land defenders and the Black Lives Matter movement. We're also working on a campaign to support the Whitby Grain Standard for new builds.
This September, Fridays for Future Whitby and Climate Strike Canada will also be rolling out a campaign for a just recovery from COVID-19.
We know that solidarity amongst community groups and within activist circles is crucial for the success of our movement. We have more in common than we have dividing us. As Audre Lorde says, there is no such thing as a single issue struggle because we do not live single issue lives.
The fact is that between myself, between a middle-class Black lesbian, and between a working-class straight white man, we all have more in common with each other than we do with a billionaire or an oil executive.
The modern environmental movement has been largely dominated by white, middle-class voices, but other people who are impacted by climate change, namely BIPOC, frontline communities, disabled folks, and those straddling the poverty line, deserve our support and solidarity.
Black Lives Matter protesters, Indigenous land defenders, labor union members, and climate activists all have distinct goals, identities, and experiences that must be recognized. But in our differences, we must also recognize the common goal that we all share, to make our lives better.
There's a misconception out there that the environment and the economy are mutually exclusive, which has been used to pit climate activists and workers against each other. In reality, the two are intrinsically linked.
For example, in 2016, the University of Massachusetts found that on average, when the government spends $1 million on subsidizing fossil fuels, 2.65 full-time jobs are created. That same amount of spending on renewables would create around 7.5 full-time jobs. Investing in renewables means creating a net increase of 5 jobs for every $1 million spent. A transition into renewable energy is good for both the environment and for workers.
Our shared goals are reflected in our shared history. In the mid-20th century, workers everywhere were encountering thousands of dangerous substances every year. These substances included things like pollution, toxic fumes, molten steel, and even carcinogens. Millions of workers had no support, protection, or information about these health hazards.
Throughout the struggle to improve working conditions, unions and environmental organizations worked together. For example, in the 1973 strike against Shell, 11 of America's largest environmental organizations declared a boycott against the company and urged their members to cut up their Shell credit cards.
We can support each other as larger organizations, as unions, and as individuals. Each of us has our own abilities that we can employ to support each other's causes.
The diversity of our experiences and specialties is our strength. Our abilities are multifunctional, and through solidarity, we're able to use that to support each other and achieve more.
Thank you, and happy Labor Day.
Thank you to this video from Fridays for Future. We also encourage folks to check out the Global Action Day of Action that's happening on September 25th. Next, we'll be hearing from Green Jobs Oshawa. And representative from Green Jobs Oshawa, Rebecca, is actually going to be speaking live today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rebecca Keach. I'm a laid-off auto worker and an organizer with Green Jobs Oshawa. Fighting back makes a difference. When labor and community come together to fight back, we change the world. And right now, in the midst of a pandemic and a climate crisis, as our lives get harder and the rich keep getting richer, it's our only option. Fighting back is more than just being defensive and stopping some concession or attack. It is articulating a bold, transformative vision of our community and going into battle to make it happen. It's about ending corporate power and building labor's power. It creates hope. Fighting back is organizing, bargaining, and political action that creates a sustainable future for all of us. equality, good jobs, and a healthy planet for all of us. Green Jobs Oshawa knows fighting back makes a difference. That's why, after General Motors made their greedy, heartless decision to throw thousands of community members out of work, we called for the massive Oshawa facility to be brought under public ownership and to be used for socially beneficial production. That's why, in the face of a health crisis that saw global supply chains of medical equipment and PPE crumble, we demanded that GM, a corporation that was bailed out with billions of dollars from the Canadian government, should be ordered to manufacture masks and respirators for our frontline heroes. Fighting back is why we continue to demand that the production of the essentials we need to survive should not be left up to corporations driven by greed, but that production should be driven by social need and democratically controlled for the benefit of all of us. Fighting back is a rejection of a dead planet. It's a rejection of a future where people have to fight for food, water, and medicine. It's a rejection of racism, sexism, transphobia, and any other barrier used to divide the working class. It's a rejection of the idea that we have to choose between jobs and the environment. We can have good jobs and a healthy planet. Fighting back has brought an end to child labor. It's won us human rights legislation, paid vacation time, parental leave, health and safety legislation, and so much more. It is because of the blood, sweat, tears, and dreams of the labor movement that we are here today, celebrating workers, all of the unsung everyday heroes that look after our elderly, teach our children, feed us, move us, and keep our world going. Please join us in fighting back and follow the Green Jobs Oshawa campaign on Facebook and Twitter. Please go to our website at greenjobsoshawa.ca. Send a letter to demand N95 production at the Oshawa plant and sign up for the campaign emails. Together, we can build a better world because fighting back makes a difference. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you and happy Labor Day.
Thank you for your super powerful message, Rebecca. Thank you so much also for speaking live today. Next, we'll be watching a video from the Durham crew.
Hello, we are the Durham crew. Proud, peaceful, strong autism parents and advocates. We are family.
We know firsthand that many people with autism and other disabilities can live a better quality of life with needs-based therapy.
Time and time again, our children are cast aside, but we know that they can turn into adults that can lead wonderful, productive lives.
We have a plan to advocate in solidarity for services and support for all autistic people. We will fight until the end. Speak with us for a better understanding. We need and we thank you for your support.
We will never stop advocating for the supports required for our children to reach their full potential. We know the possibilities are endless. We are relentless.
Thank you to the Durham crew for your Labor Day greetings. Next, we'll have a video from the Durham Black Accountability Coalition.
Hi friends, my name is Shailene Panello and I'm very pleased to be bringing greetings from the Durham Black Accountability Coalition, also known as DBAC, this fine virtual Labor Day. These past few months have been challenging, humbling, frustrating, and filled with teachable moments for us as a community, country, and collective. 2020 seems to be the year of pressure. but we want to make diamonds. So this Labor Day, we wanted to come together to celebrate, recognize, and reflect on those that came before us to push and fight for change. Historically, we know collective action works. Protest, strikes, lobbying, and yes, even riots. When it comes to fighting for people, for human rights, and for equity, Labor does that. Now we look at this very critical moment in our history, where violence, race, ethnicity, and privilege are intersecting in a way that could destroy our Black and Indigenous brothers, sisters, and non-binary family. And so, to you, we pose a new call to action. Anti-Black racism is not just an American problem. We can find it here entrenched in the very foundations of the systems that we have built and now boast so boldly about as Canadians. So this Labor Day, DBAC calls on you to join us. Sign our petition and tap into our work as we lobby governments at all levels to enact real change and policy that would end systemic anti-Black racism, police brutality, fund mental health support teams for our communities, and commit to collecting race-based data across all of our public institutions. We thank you, our Labor brothers, sisters, and non-binary family, the Durham Region Labour Council for the opportunity, and our community members that have supported us in our work thus far. We know we're stronger together, and we can change what tomorrow looks like based on what we do today. Happy Labor Day. Solidarity.
Thank you to DBAC and Shailene for your call to action.
Hi, friends.
Next section of our agenda is Black Labor Leaders Matter, which will be featuring Black labor leaders in the Durham region, including Pam Parks, Jennifer Seif, and Fred Upshaw. To begin, we'll actually have Julia McCree, who will be delivering the presentation about Pam Parks.
Hi, everybody, and happy Labor Day. I'm a past member of CUPE and OPSU and currently OSSTF at EPFO. And Pam Parks is one of my sheroes in Oshawa. She's a labor leader who matters, a healthcare activist, and currently she's the CUPE National Healthcare Issues Committee co-chair, CUPE National Facilitator, as well as being a local leader here. Elise, can you move it, or do I need to do that? Okay, great. And in great, thank you. 2020 on the front, she's on the front lines of the healthcare. Many of us have seen her out working to save lives, fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, leading the fight to get the N95 masks that we needed at Lake Ridge Health for all the frontline workers. Currently, she is the Vice President of Lake Ridge Health Oshawa Whitby site. She has been president at Lake Ridge first in local 1999, which after amalgamation became 6364 from 2003 to this year. So for 17 years, president locally. And she is a registered practical nurse since 1986. Here she is on the left with co-workers from Lake Ridge Health in front of Alexandra Park, right across from the hospital, rallying to stop privatization and hospital cutbacks. That was last year before we got hit by COVID. And at work, as you know, she's been fighting for the N95 masks and personal protective equipment, and she worked with Green Job Oshawa. She was out on the caravans, etc., to look at whether that could be done here locally. No reason why not. And to keep both healthcare workers in the hospital safe, long-term care workers safe, because many of the hospital workers were shifted out to long-term care to help out. And also to keep you and I alive, all of us, and patients alive. She's was also on the Equal Pay Coalition rally earlier this year, if any of you watched that. She's also been a journalist this year, picked up in the Toronto Star with two of her co-workers, Judy Bain and Maggie Jewell, talking about how Ontario has been failing to protect healthcare workers. Here she is at the Green Job Oshawa's caravan. That's down at the plant after part of our lobby. And here you can see several pictures, different actions that Pam's been part of, but they're fighting for healthcare workers to get the needed protection, especially this year, and taking the political action necessary. You can see on the lower right at Queen's Park, often with the Ontario Health Coalition and the Ontario Hospital Unions Coalition. Okay. Some things you may not know about Pam that were interesting to find out about her is that she was born in Long Bay, Portland, Jamaica. Pam's mom migrated to Timmins, Ontario when Pam was very young. So she was raised by a loving grandmother in Jamaica. Pam and her sister joined her mother and brother in Timmins in 1986 when Pam was 16 years old. Can you imagine the transition from Jamaica to Timmins, especially like at the end of October? And like, oh my God. Anyhow, that'd be cold. First winters are deadly. Anyhow, she worked as a nurse first in Timmins and then in Oshawa after finishing high school and college in Timmins. And she is a proud and joyful mom. Her family includes her partner of 30 years, Brian, her son, Brandon, and her beautiful dog, Princess Bella. Okay, and here, sorry, the picture's not as clear as I would like, but that's Pam, Natalie Mara, many of us know well from the Ontario Health Coalition. And also Michael, I'm trying to think his last name, from the Ontario Council of Hospital Unions.
Michael Hurley.
What's that? Who knows?
Michael Hurley.
There it is. Yeah, I knew. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's out in front of Lake Ridge Health. Looks like the parking garage. Okay. They've been here doing rallies numerously. And here's Sister Pam receiving the Sister in Solidarity Award from CUPE. She is a long-term member of the Oshawa Health Coalition. She's a long-term member of the NDP here. And she's a long-term delegate to the Durham Region Labour Council. We couldn't do Oshawa. I don't know where Oshawa would be and the healthcare workers would be without Pam. So solidarity, everybody, and happy Labor Day. It's great to remember our sisters who have been working hard in the community for years on our behalf.
Thank you so much, Julia, for putting together this presentation and presenting it for all of us. And thank you so much to Pam for all of your long time work in the community. It's very appreciated, especially right now during the pandemic. Next will be a presentation on Jennifer Seif, which will be presented by the Canadian Labour Council representative, Kim Kent.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to read about Jennifer Seif, who is a labor leader in the Durham region. She's a president of the Professional Support Services Personnel Bargaining Unit, which is a division of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, District 13 in Durham. She's an American Sign Language English interpreter at the Durham District School Board. That's what she does for work. But she also is the president of OSSTF District 13's newest bargaining unit, which is the Professional Support Services Personnel. This bargaining unit was just formed in September of 2018, and this is Jennifer's second term as president of this bargaining unit. She negotiated their first collective agreement, and she serves on the District 13 Executive, District Council, Communication, and Constitution Committees. She's also co-chair of OSSTF's Provincial Communication and Political Action Committee. Here's some photos of the District 13 Professional Support Services Personnel Bargaining Unit. And this year, Jennifer was the picket captain on the line when the when the education workers went on the provincial-wide strikes. Here's a photo of her there. And last year, the OSSTF participated and held rallies against cuts to save jobs, and she was participating in those, as you can see in the photos here. Jennifer's also a member, a community activist in the Durham Black Educators Network, and she is an executive member and media coordinator with the DBEN. Their work is to promote engagement, empowerment, and excellence of Durham District School Board students, educators, parents, guardians, and community of Durham's Black diaspora, enhancing the engagement, empowerment of our youth, parents, staff, and community members at the Durham District School Board, and supporting the well-being and pursuit of excellence while interrupting damaging narratives about Black youth and Black culture. And what you might not know about Jennifer is that she's married. She is raising 2 children. She graduated from George Brown College as an American Sign Language English interpreter with out of the advanced diploma program. She graduated with high distinction with an honors BA in education and digital technology from the Ontario Institute of Technology. And she's currently a student with the Master of Arts program at OnTech. And she's also a research assistant with the University of California at Berkeley. Very impressive. During the COVID-19, she's been a volunteer extending OSSTF District 13 support to seniors. During the pandemic, Jennifer has led District 13 support to Homebound Wellness Center, an organization who is supporting seniors with grocery deliveries. And there she is in action there. Thanks for all your activism in the community, Jennifer, and thank you to Julia for putting this presentation together for us.
Thank you, Kim, for presenting about Jennifer Seif, and thank you so much to Jennifer for all of the work that you've been doing over the years in our community. Next, we'll have a presentation about Fred Upshaw. Fred Upshaw was actually a past president of the Durham Region Labour Council, and we're actually going to have Tiffany Balducci, the current president, give a presentation about the life of Fred.
Thanks, Elise, and thanks to Julia McRae who made this presentation. So we'll get into the next slide and get into Fred Upshaw. There is a photo of what Fred Upshaw looked like. So Fred was the president of Ontario Public Services Employees Union, OPSEU, from 1990 to 1995. Key leader during the Ray days to minimize the impact and help preventing layoffs. Also won the right to strike and political rights for Ontario Public Service members, as well as some big gains under the OPSEU Pension Trust, now OP Trust, and College's pension plan. Fred championed employment equity during his term in office and worked to achieve broad-scale pay equity legislation and employment equity policies, also securing wage increases for public employees, and helped win unit reform and human rights language in OPSEU contracts. And if that's not enough, Fred served on the Workers' Health and Safety Board, remaining a member until his death. Some background information: born in Halifax in 1935, moved to Toronto with his mother at age 6, and eldest of 6 children in a single parent family. Started leading young as a student council president at Malvern Collegiate High School, led a walkout to demand students be consulted over uniform changes, developed skills as a debater and professional singer, so that made Fred a spellbinding orator, and was trained as a registered nurse and graduated from Durham College in 1975. Here's another photo of Fred on the guitar, man of many talents. Fred served briefly on the executive of what was then the UAW Local 222, but lost his job, and he had a wife and 5 children to support. So he worked as an attendant at the Whitby Psychiatric Hospital while studying nursing. And union work continued in 1972 with the Civic Service Association of Ontario that won limited bargaining rights with the provincial government. And then OPSEU emerged 3 years later, and Fred was elected chief steward and Local 331 president, representing nearly 1,000 hospital staff. Here's another great photo, and thanks again to Julia for finding all these photos and putting this together. In 1980, Fred was elected to the OPSEU Executive Board. In 1984, Fred became first vice president, treasurer of OPSEU. 1990, elected OPSEU president, becoming the first African Canadian to lead a major labor union in Canada. He also served on the executive board of the Ontario Federation of Labor. While Fred was president, OPSEU implemented a significant social justice agenda, becoming one of the first unions to hire a human rights officer and establish a provincial human rights committee with a mandate to promote human rights throughout the union. Lots of work in the union movement. There's another photo. You can see it's more recent with the OPSU flag behind Fred there. And then amongst community leadership, activists, service, sports, Fred was the president of Toronto Region JCs, served as its national director of leadership training, coached minor sports in Oshawa for years, was a founding member of Club Carib in Oshawa in 1966, and a long-term member of the Oshawa NDP. And this one is an image from, I'm not quite sure when that was exactly taken, but it's a very exciting black and white image. And Fred has had much outstanding work, including the Premier's Award from Durham College 1994, Bromley L. Armstrong Award in 2013 from the Toronto and York Region Labour Council, named in honor of the great Canadian civil rights leader seen here with Fred. So as the current Labour Council president, it is my honor to recognize the accomplishments of an amazing labor leader that has recently passed, Fred Upshaw, past president of Durham Region Labour Council. And once again, thank you to Julia for putting together these PowerPoints.
Thank you again, Tiffany, for doing this presentation. And thank you so much to Julia McCree for putting together those 4 presentations. And also thank you to Fred for paving the way for labor leaders today. Next, we'll have some music by Daniel Greer, Postman Dan.
Thanks for having me. I'm Daniel Greer. I'm a postal worker and sub-steward and member of the CPW Oshawa Local 579. It's a song that I wrote. It's called People Fought for Everything We Got. We all know that bad things can't happen here. We got the government to protect us from all our fears. And on the track to war, workers shot by their own cops. But we all know that shit just don't happen here. Don't think they won't just take it all away. Just can't afford that overtime pay. And in this present economy, who has time for holidays? You'll just be happy that you're working and getting paid. 'Cause people fought for everything that you got. 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 Moving forward to the Battle of Wisconsin. Moving backwards is the plan of this government. Workers and students unite. Even cops joined in the fight, trying to protect their bargaining rights. Because the government was not on their side. People fought for everything that you got. 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 Thanks.
And we have one more song by Postman Dan for this section.
This one's an old Rita McNeil song. I do my own thing with it a little bit. Well, it's a working man I am. I've been down underground. never see the sun. Oh, for any length of time, I can hold it in my mind. I never again will go down underground. At the age of 16 years, he quarrels with his peers, who vowed they'd never see another one. In the dark recess of the mines, where you beg before your time, and the cold dust lies heavy on your lungs. But there's no working man out there. I've been down underground, and I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, oh, for any length of time, I've been holding in my mind. I never again will work underground. At the age of 64, he'll greet you at the door and gently he'll lead you by the arm through the dark recess of the mind. Well, he'll take you back in time and tell you of the hardships that were had.
Thank you to Daniel Greer for submitting these videos and being a part of our virtual celebration today. Next, we'll be moving on in our agenda with labor union leaders who have some words for us. To begin, we'll start with Hassan Youssef, who is the president of the Canadian Labour Congress.
Brothers and sisters, comrades, today is a very special day for workers across this country. It's the day when we come together to celebrate, of course, our achievement over the last year and reflect, of course, on the challenges we still face ahead of us. Due to COVID-19, we're not going to be able to get together the way we have done in the past. But equally, though, we can still celebrate with our families and our friends at our home, recognizing fundamentally we must acknowledge the struggles of workers across this country, but equally must also reflect on the challenges ahead, how we must continue to build a great country for all workers where we share in the fruits of our labor. Since the pandemic, both the Canadian Labour Congress and our affiliate have stepped up our effort to ensure governments right across our land understood the importance of the challenges we're faced with working people, but equally not just our members. We advocate with the federal government to create the CERB to ensure the workers, of course, no fault of their own, who are not able to go to work, we're going to get a paycheck somehow because, of course, we owe them that much, of course, during the lockdown. We also advocated for sick leave to ensure workers are going to be taken care of should they get sick during COVID-19. They will actually have paid sick leave, and equally, they will not lose their job because an overzealous employer might decide to fire them. We also advocate for workers to have access to PPE, personal protective equipment, and more importantly, to ensure the health and safety laws this country was going to apply to their employer. We also know that many of our workers, of course, had to go to work and make the ultimate sacrifices to provide the service on behalf of Canadians. We're proud of the work our members have done to ensure this country remains strong, remains safe, and more importantly, continue to function. But at the same time, we need to recognize the cracks in the system across our land. We cannot turn a blind eye to the challenges we face as we go forward. But more importantly, as we continue to struggle with this pandemic and of course try to weather the storm over time, what we need to do is to work harder to ensure those cracks that we have seen during COVID-19 should not remain a feature of our society anymore, because no country should allow its people to be treated this way. While we haven't yet defeated COVID-19, we recognize fundamentally we're going to have to work on recovery strategies. Are going to take all of the challenges that we've seen in the last number of months the workers are facing right across the country, and how we, of course, push our federal government, but also provincial and municipal government to deal with these challenges as we go forward. We've heard from many workers across the country, of course, telling us their personal stories and the challenge, of course, they continue to face. The story of Lingo, working part-time and never have enough income to make ends meet. Nobody should have to struggle in that way in this country to have a decent job. It's also critical that we focus on Amanda's story, who got laid off during the pandemic. Any workers who get pregnant in this country deserve to have benefits when they go off to take care of their family and not have to suffer layoffs during that period. There are many challenges in the recovery we're going to have to get our federal government to address, including the need for a national pharmacare strategy, including the need, of course, to fix the EI system so no workers should fall through the cracks when they're laid off from their employer. There are many things that we know we're going to have to do in addition to work to create good jobs on behalf of Canadians right across this country. Despite all of the things that we applaud about the healthcare system, we know there are huge cracks. Our long-term care facilities in this country, once and for all, need to be fixed to ensure our seniors should not have to die the way they died in this pandemic, because they didn't have, of course, the support they require because of our healthcare system. We can make long-term care better for all citizens who require that service, but equally for the workers on the front line who are providing that service at the end of the day. We need to ensure, of course, our social safety net, our EI system, are going to provide benefits to all workers who need that benefit when they should ever lose their job or need training because they lose their job. We also need to take into consideration, this is an opportunity for us to address the climate challenge and how we can retrofit our house and our building and create good jobs for working Canadians across this country that are going to make our country better and more resilient to deal with climate change. These are things our federal and our provincial and of course our municipal government is going to have to work together. But equally, if we don't push and demand, we're not going to see the kind of changes we need. Sisters and brothers, comrades, this is also a moment for us to acknowledge the important work that women do in this country to make this Canada a good place for us. We need to focus on women's work and more importantly, why we need a national childcare system to ensure women should not become part of the sacrifice we have to make, whether they should go to work or they should take care of their family and their loved ones. We know we can do better, but we need our federal, provincial, and municipal government to work together so we can create a national childcare system. I know this is an ambitious plan, but it's going to require your help and assistance and your involvement. We're committed to this fight, but more importantly, activists and leadership across this country, we're going to have to raise our voice to ensure that what this pandemic has exposed do not remain a feature of our country going forward.
Thank you to Hassan for his words during Labor Day. Next, we'll have a message from Mary Fowler, the president of Durham ETFO, and Reina Beres, the president of Durham DECE ETFO.
Hi, my name is Mary Fowler. I am the Durham Teacher Local President for ETFO.
And my name is Reina Beres. I am the DEC President for ETFO. We want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you to all those families, all those community members, all those union representatives, and all of you that supported us over the last few months during our strike action. Thank you to all of you who supported us on the picket line. This is very difficult. Your voice has been heard, and we appreciate your continued support as we move forward. This year is going to be like no other.
We have kids coming into our Durham schools starting tomorrow, September 8th. We know that class sizes are untenable. We've got 29 kids in a portable. We've got 29 kids in a kindergarten class, full of learners that are unable to self-regulate and maintain that distance from one another. We've got more than 30 kids in junior and intermediate classes across the board. We've got kids that are sitting in front of sinks where, other kids in their class are supposed to go and wash their hands so that we all have good hand hygiene. The Durham board has passed a resolution to ensure that kids can be 1 meter apart in their classrooms. But we've seen picture after picture after picture coming in for our members that shows that that 1 meter distancing is not being met. Basically, what we're looking at right now is protocols in schools that are significantly less than what the Durham Region protocols are. Wherever you go in the Durham Region, you're being told that you need to wear a mask indoors, or that you need to stay 2 meters apart from the people in the grocery stores that you're interacting with. Why are we expecting that we have protocols like that in place in public spaces, but we're not expecting the same in our schools where our most vulnerable young people are going to be learning? We know that in order to be successful, the plans that have been successful around the world are the ones that are lowering class sizes and making sure that kids are learning in environments where there's no more than 15 or 20 kids with them, and that there is only a couple of adults that are interacting with them. That is what's going to keep our students safe, and that's what's going to keep our members safe. So whatever Doug Ford is saying, whatever Stephen Lecce is saying, we know that this plan can only get better. Please reach out to your MPP. In Durham Region, we're very fortunate, one might say, that we have a lot of MPPs who are part of government that we can lobby. So if you haven't already done so, please go to buildingbetterschools.ca and email your MPP. Tell them that safety protocols for opening schools are important for you, important for your family, important for your community. But not only that, we have a board of trustees in Durham who have been proactive, who have passed motions to say that there needs to be specific distancing between kids. They have a board meeting tomorrow night, September 8th. Send them an email and tell them that they need to go into reserves and they need to lower class sizes for in-person learning. They have that ability and we need them to pass those motions tomorrow. These are stressful times for all workers in Ontario, and we know that. It's stressful times for parents who are sending their kids back to school. Our members are working hard to do everything that they can to make sure that your kids are going to be safe, but we need your help so that we can make that happen. We're wishing all workers in Ontario and Durham Region a happy and safe Labor Day and a happy and safe fall.
Thank you, Mary and Raina, for those words and also for sharing the visuals of what classrooms in Durham look like. Next, we'll be hearing from Brian Diaz from Unifor West GTA Regional Environment Council.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. I'm Brian Dias, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all a happy Labor Day. It's the best day of the year. Now, this has been a challenging year for us all with the COVID-19 pandemic, but it's brought a few realities to light. One reality that people are seeing now, if they haven't seen it before, is that billionaires are utterly useless to our society. They've done nothing for us during this pandemic. Who has shone during the pandemic? Grocery store workers, healthcare workers, delivery drivers, regular people like me. I'm a factory worker. I'm not anything special. I get up in the morning and I go to work every day. But we're the people that have kept the world turning while the billionaires have cocooned and waited for this to blow over. We don't need those people making policy for us at Queen's Park and in the House of Commons. We need workers. Workers belong in politics. Let's get to work, everyone, and have a happy Labor Day.
Thank you, Brian, for those words.
Good night.
Next, we'll hear a message from Candace Rennick, who's the Secretary Treasurer from CUPE Ontario.
Hey everybody, happy Labor Day to all of the folks in Durham. Candace Rennick here, the Secretary Treasurer of CUPE Ontario, representing 280,000 CUPE members all across Ontario. Super pumped to be able to deliver this Labor Day message to you on behalf of CUPE members. First and foremost, I want to start by saying a big thank you to all of the frontline workers who have spent the last 5 months on the front lines, working their hearts out during this health crisis. Everyone from healthcare workers to group home workers, paramedics, grocery store workers, retail workers, restaurant service industry workers, you have really all put yourselves at risk by stepping up for your communities, and I can't thank you on behalf of CUPE members enough. We stand in solidarity with you and the struggles that we face every day. But I want to talk to you folks today about seniors and the state of our long-term care system in Ontario. And we've been talking about this for a long time, but the time has now come to demand serious and significant reform in long-term care. 13 of the 15 hardest hit long-term care facilities during the COVID pandemic were for-profit long-term care facilities. The vast majority of the 1,800 seniors who died during the COVID crisis lived in for-profit long-term care facilities. We know that the crisis in long-term care is rampant. We know that it exists, whether you're in a charitable home, in a municipal home, a for-profit home, but we know for sure that staffing levels and conditions in facilities that are owned and operated for profit have the lowest staffing and care levels. Over a 3-month period during the pandemic alone, where we saw close to 1,800 seniors die, $58 million was paid to the 3 largest for-profit corporations' shareholders. That cannot continue. And this is why CUPE has teamed up with Unifor, with SEIU, because we know that we can't win this battle by ourselves. So we have developed a website and a campaign, and we are encouraging you to visit it. It is called carenotprofits.ca, because it is no longer good enough just for us to be saddened or angered by the state of our long-term care system. It is our collective responsibility, each and every one of us, to take action, to demand changes, to enhance the quality of life for our loved ones. So I'm proud to introduce to you a TV commercial that SEIU, CUPE, and Unifor put on the airways in late July. It's still running on TV, it's running digitally. Watch the commercial, it's powerful and it's impactful. But at the end of it, please take action. Go to carenotprofits.ca and lend your voice to this campaign and demand that our seniors, our loved ones in the province of Ontario get better care, and that every single available dollar in long-term care goes to enhance the quality of life for seniors at the bedside and not into pockets of shareholders. Thank you very much to all of the education workers and teachers who are getting ready to go back to school for our children. I want to say thank you. We stand in solidarity with you. We wish you all of the best for your success and for the success of our children. And we're going to be with you every step of the way. Please enjoy our commercial, take action at the end, and happy Labor Day, Durham.
Happy Labor Day.
Thank you, Candace and Jackson, for your words during Labor Day. We're now going to move into the commercial for Care Not Profits. Thank you again to CUPE, Unifor, and SEIU Healthcare for putting together the ad regarding health care not profits. Next, we'll hear words from Colin James, the president of Unifor Local 222.
New well wishes from the local. This has been a trying year with the pandemic. I ask that you all keep safe. I also remind you, with the racial injustice that has been brought to the forefront again, I ask that all of us stand up and fight when we see racial injustice everywhere.
Thank you, Colin James, for those words during Labor Day.
You well.
Next, we'll hear words from Ed Cunningham from ETU Local 113, as well as from Pickering Uxbridge, Ontario NDP.
Hello, everyone, and happy Labor Day. My name is Ed Cunningham. I'm a transit worker with ATU 113 and Labor Liaison for the Pickering Uxbridge, Ontario NDP. We'd like to thank the Durham Region Labour Council for organizing and including us in today's festivities.
This year's theme, A Plan for Progress, A Plan for Change, is an important one, as our collective battle with COVID-19 has highlighted the need for change. Statistics like private, for-profit long-term care homes having 4 times the COVID-19 death rate, and 83% of Toronto's COVID cases being Black people and people of color make that very clear. Our lack of paid sick days for all and an economy that emphasizes precarious work have become very obvious problems. The Ontario NDP and Canada's NDP have plans for the progress and change we need. Racial justice, changes to policing, paid sick days, pharmacare, fixing long-term care, safe reopening of schools, and many more. You can find more info at ontariondp.ca and ndp.ca. We are looking forward to learning more about what Durham's brilliant, tireless activist Labour Council has planned and what we can do in support. A core belief of our Pickering-Uxbridge NDP team is that we can't wait around for elections to bring about change. Change happens because activists make it happen. We believe our place between elections is by their side. When you stand up for workers' rights, for Black Lives Matter, gender equality, LGBTQ rights, action on climate change, protection of public services, we see it as our job to stand with you, to turn the words we say at election time into action all the time. We will stand with you. We will use our social media, not just to talk about the NDP, but to amplify your voices, to share your events and invite people to join us there. That's our plan. Solidarity, always.
Thank you, Ed and the Ontario NDP for those words during Labor Day. Next for our program, we are going to be having a story time with Jamie LaRose, who's a library worker from QP Local 960.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamie. I'm a library worker with QP 960, and I'm very excited to bring you a special Labor Day inspired story time. Let's get started with hello, friends. So we have 4 signs. We have hello, we have friends, we have time, and we have say. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. Today for story time, we're going to be reading Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type.
Sorry, folks, we're just having a bit of technical difficulties. Just be one moment.
While Elise is trying to get the video to match up, I can just say that if you haven't read Click Clack Moo, hopefully it'll come through right now and Jamie, our awesome library worker, will be able to show it to you. It's a great message and a great message for Labor Day as well. And I like that she has a little cow in the background.
Okay, I'm going to try doing it one more time and see if it works.
Is it still paused, Elise? I think it might still be paused maybe, or if it's not matching up, because I could hear the music, it just wasn't matching up with the movement. I think Elise might be frozen now too, actually. The video might have caused it her to get logged out. So while she hopefully gets logged back in, I will just turn on my video and check in with folks and say hello as we have our video come back on, which sadly might mean that we do not have our the story time doesn't work. We'll try to get it up on social media, perhaps, if that's the case for the video maybe causing Elise's screen to freeze and not come up. But we will need Elise to log back in because she is the keeper of the PowerPoint. I wonder in the meanwhile, I don't know, because I'm seeing her not here yet, and so we have like the other videos ready loaded to come up. I wonder in the meanwhile, I'm just looking to see if I see Elise, but Kim, maybe if you're prepared to say the CLC greetings, we'll put you in now, and we'll go to Kim, and then we'll see if we can get Elise back up here. How's that?
Sure. I'd be happy to do that. Thanks for inviting me to bring greetings on behalf of the officers and staff of the Canadian Labour Congress. I want to thank Tiffany and all the activists in the Durham region for the tremendous amount of work that you've accomplished in the last year. I see Elise is back now. Elise, just so you know what we're doing, we skipped over to my presentation while we were waiting for you to come back. So while you can get back set up again, and I'll continue my little spiel here. I just wanted to say I've known this Labour Council since my good friend Jimmy Freeman was the president, and they've always outdone themselves in terms of political activism in the community. Although those actions have turned mainly digital over the last few months, the advocacy on behalf of workers has not stopped in the Durham region. This Labour Council continues to be the activist powerhouse that they always have been. Today is a day to celebrate our accomplishments over the last year, but also to agitate for change. And this crisis has been really hard on workers. Many have lost loved ones. Many have lost their jobs. Many were deemed essential and had to keep working at risk, great risk to themselves and their families. And many of us are mourning workers who've paid the ultimate sacrifice and died because of COVID-19. But this crisis offers us an opportunity to change. We can build better communities with a strong, sustainable, worker-first recovery plan. Canada's unions are calling on all levels of government to replace lost jobs with better ones. Basically, we've had over 3 million jobs lost during the pandemic, and we need a shovel-ready plan to replace those jobs. The government has to kickstart local economies by hiring people to build green infrastructure, to educate our youth and care for others. Workers are calling for a strengthening of public health care. We want to make seniors safe by making long-term care part of public health care. I just love that commercial. It's very thought-provoking, and hopefully many folks will sign on to the campaign. We want to help families make ends meet by adding prescription drugs to Canada's healthcare system. We're the only industrialized nation in the world that has a public healthcare system that doesn't include drugs. Now's the time to make that change. Workers want to disaster-proof our social safety net. When the next economic disaster hits, we need to make sure unemployment or employment insurance is there for those that need it. Those that need it. We also need to make sure there's a childcare plan in place for families that works for families. And we need to invest in things that keep communities strong, like affordable housing. So on this Labor Day, instead of joining rallies and picnics across the country like we usually do, we're asking you to rally for a Canada that moves us collectively forward together. And we're hoping that you join our Canadian Labour Congress campaign at canadianplan.ca. It's canadianplan.ca. Thanks and happy Labor Day, everyone.
Thank you, Kim, for jumping in. All right, back over to you, Elise. I don't know if you want to try the storytime video again, or if that's what.
Yeah, would you be able to re-add me as a co-host so I can share my screen?
Of course.
Thank you. Also, so sorry, everyone. My computer just randomly shut down, and I was super shocked because the entire presentation seemed to be going so smoothly, and then I had that one tech glitch.
These things happen. People learn to roll with it. I I got a few little funny texts of people making fun puns with the Click Clack Moo title and yeah, yeah, including a funny, we're joined by our MPP, Jennifer French, and she had some funny Click Clack Moo puns in there.
Yay, I'm glad. Okay, so let's try this once more.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamie. I'm a library worker with CUPE 960, and I'm very excited to bring you a special Labor Day inspired story time. Let's get started with hello, friends. So we have 4 signs. We have hello, we have friends, we have time, and we have say. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. Today for story time, we're going to be reading Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type. So this story is by Doreen Cronin, and the pictures are by Betsy Lewin. So what that means is that Doreen Cronin came up with the idea for this story, and Betsy Lewin drew all the wonderful pictures. And it's published by Simon & Schuster. So thank you very much to Simon & Schuster for letting us use this story for our story time today. So what do we have here? We have cows and a typewriter. I wonder what's going to happen. Let's find out. Click, clack, moo, cows that type. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. It left him a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. It was bad enough the cows had found the old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets? No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note on the barn door. Can you see what it says there? It says, sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed. No milk, no eggs. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Lickety, clack, moo. Cows that type, hens on strike. Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send the duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come in with the typewriter. What do you think is going to happen? Do we think everybody will be happy with this decision? I don't think so. The next morning, he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks. Click, clack, whack. Click, clack, whack. Click, clack, clickety, clack, whack. Looks like they got their diving board. All right, we don't have much time left for today, so we're just gonna do one fun song and then we're gonna wrap it up. All right, can everybody stand up with me? All right, so we'll do this one twice because repetition is one of the best ways to learn. So it goes like this. Put your hands up high, put your hands down low, put your hands in the middle and wiggle just so. Put your elbows to the front, put your elbows to the back, put your elbows to the sides and quack, quack, quack. I'm a duck. Let's try that one more time. Put your hands up high, put your hands down low, put your hands in the middle and wiggle just so. Put your elbows to the front, put your elbows to the back, put your elbows to the sides and quack, quack, quack. All right, so that's all the time we have for today. We're gonna say goodbye, friends. So we have 4 signs again. Goodbye, we have friends, we have time, and we have say. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll have a great Labor Day.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for this super fun song, dance, and book reading. Next, we'll be hearing from some politicians in the Durham region and their Labor Day greetings. To begin, we'll have Jennifer French, who is the MPP of Oshawa, who's also here in person as well.
Hi, folks. It's Jennifer French here, and I'm very pleased to be able to connect with you virtually this Labor Day. My thoughts are with everyone who is headed out into what is a very uncertain world right now, doing work that we value so much. And there's been a lot of talk during this pandemic about heroes and who is essential, but the work that happens across this province every day to keep food on the table, to keep people safe and well, is all invaluable, very essential work. And while we remember who our heroes are today, we need to remember who those heroes are down the road, and also recognize that these are folks who are headed out to do honest work to ensure that our community is able to continue. And we thank them for that, but we have to make sure that we don't just thank them now, but that we ensure that their workplaces are safe, that they are supported, whether that means with personal protective equipment, whether that means with fair wages and benefits, whether that means with predictable schedules so that people can make plans with their families. All of this has to keep happening. There's a conversation being had about return to work and return to normal, but we can't go back to where we were when that means that any worker might be unsafe, unsupported, or not well treated. And so on this Labor Day, we need, of course, we celebrate the power and potential with labor and workers, but we also recognize that there are gains to be made right now to keep all of us safe and well and healthy and properly treated in this community and across the country. So this Labor Day, my thoughts are with you, they're with your families, they're with your children. We are all thinking about ways to be well and safe. I have the responsibility, many of us have that responsibility to push to make sure that as we head back to workplaces, as we talk about recovery, that it is indeed a just recovery. So I hope that you and your family are able to carve out some moments that are not just about the pandemic, that you're able to make some memories during this time, that you are indeed safe and well, that those who are not well heal and with the support and care that they deserve. And to all of you who are rolling up your sleeves and doing such important work during this time, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we will do our best to support you. So I wish everyone a very happy Labor Day.
Thank you for your thoughtful words, Jennifer, and thank you so much. We appreciate you also joining us in person as well. Next, we'll be hearing from John Henry, who is the Durham Regional Chair.
Hi, I'm John Henry, Chair of Durham Region. First of all, I want to thank the Labor Day Committee for putting this event together during COVID-19. It has been a difficult year, and I want to say thank you to the organizers. This year has been a challenging year for us, but I want to say thank you to the labor community. During COVID-19, you have helped to keep our economy going. You have manufactured the goods we need, you have delivered those goods, and you have made our economies work during one of the most difficult challenges we've had in the history of the province of Ontario, ultimately the world. I want to say thank you to the labor community for your dedication, for keeping goods rolling, for manufacturing the products that we need, and for making a difference each and every day. You build it, you make it, you deliver it, you are our heroes. Thank you so much, and celebrate this year safe and at home with your families. Remember that we're all in this together.
Thank you, John Henry, for your words. Next, we'll be hearing from Don Mitchell, the Mayor of Whitby.
Hello, I'm Don Mitchell, the Mayor of Whitby, and I'm here to bring greetings and best wishes to the Durham Region Labour Council on this Labor Day. We know that the virus has made it really clear that we have to support one another and help one another through difficult times, and that has long been the focus of the work of the Labour Council. So as we go through this pandemic, we want to come out with a society that is fairer and safer and stronger, and working together, we can do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Next, we'll be hearing from Dan Carter, the Mayor of Oshawa.
Hi, I'm Dan Carter, the Mayor for the great city of Oshawa, and I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that is engaged in this year's Labor Day celebration. Labor Day is an opportunity to be able to talk about health and safety and good jobs, good paying jobs, and where the new opportunities exist in our great country of Canada. But COVID-19 has seen other gaps that are happening in our community. We are seeing individuals that are facing poverty, maybe for the very first time. We are seeing our unsheltered population grow. We are seeing people that are suffering with mental illness and addiction. This is a moment to be able to unite all of us, to come together with good ideas and commit to our communities to be part of the solution. I know that we need a plan for progress and we need a plan for the future. I'm calling on local, regional, provincial, federal governments, labor. I'm asking all of us as community leaders and leaders in whatever we do to come together on this Labor Day and let's have a conversation about lifting Canadians up and uniting us once again. Happy Labor Day on behalf of the great city of Oshawa and my council.
Thank you, Dan. Next, we'll hear from the Durham Region Labour Council's Food Drive Committee.
Hey everybody, welcome to the virtual Labor Day. This is awesome. I just want to take an opportunity to tell you a little bit about the 2020 food drive that we've concluded. This year, as Durham Region Labour Council celebrates our success and struggles in a virtual gathering, we're calling on our affiliates, labor activists, and community builders to make every effort to gather support for a food drive, making a donation to assist our local organizations that are fighting hunger daily. The council has held historic celebrations of labor across Durham Region for years and bringing together community and workers in celebration. We could not accomplish this without the generous support of our affiliates of the council. This year, as we're pleading for your continued support in a different way, our community members and organizations need your help. Our collective outreach is always in need, and the labor movement always responds. We have members of our unions and community partners assisting to bring hope to people in our workplace and across the community. We need to step up our appetite for delivering change to our communities and our neighborhoods. While we fight for safer workplaces and safer communities on a daily basis, our outreach has a huge opportunity to expand and involve the families and individuals struggling for daily food and household items. Our donations are always provided, and we have put together a comprehensive list on our website at thedurhamlabor.ca, as well as financial donations in the forms of gift cards, checks can also be made to assist the organizations helping every day to provide food and support for those across our community in these uncertain times in the global COVID-19 outbreak. Can we count on your support? I hope so. An incredible committee behind the scenes, and we are working daily to help raise food in our communities, and unions have already began the process of setting up bins in their workplace under all the health conditions, that recommendations that have been put forward. I really would like to reach out in a personal note and ask for your support of the incredible organizations that are doing this work daily. I look forward to seeing you again, and as we continue our struggles, making sure that we rise our community within the struggles itself. So thank you very much to the Durham Region Labour Council for another successful Labor Day celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny, for promoting the food drive that folks are organizing. We already heard from Kim Kent, so we're going to move to Tiffany Balducci, who is the president of the Durham Region Labour Council.
Thank you so much for tuning in and participating in our 15th annual Labor Day. If you're hearing from me, that means that we're nearing close to the end of our presentation. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's so important for us to connect and celebrate our movement and our collective power and organize towards a better future for all. I want to recognize that I am a settler here to this land we call Canada, and have unearned privilege that helps me and allows me to navigate our various systems. Former Labor Council president and one of my mentors, Jim Freeman, who sadly passed away very suddenly years ago. Here's some little pictures of what Jimmy looked like. He envisioned a day for workers and their families, because previously, before 15 years ago, folks in Durham would send buses to Toronto for the day on Labor Day, but 15 years ago, Durham Region Labour Council, led by Jim Freeman, decided to start hosting a fun event in our own community for the whole family. And so we really tried to capture that here today. I know we don't have face painting, we don't have our special watermelon knife cutting the watermelons. It always attracts wasps, but you know, what are you gonna do? And the hot dogs and all that. But we're hoping that we could still kind of come together, because we do know that Labor Day is one of the most important days on our calendar. It's also the unofficial end to summer and a day to mark the history of working people in Canada. And this year it feels like, you know, maybe there's a little less to celebrate, but maybe a lot more to hope for, and hope for next year or the year to come. Because the COVID-19 crisis has been very hard for everyone across, like globally, and for workers and those who have lost loved ones, those like myself who've been separated from family members and loved ones due to border closures, those who were put out of work, those who were deemed essential and have been working more than ever before, have had their vacations canceled, and putting themselves at great risk and their families at great risk to move the work forward. Many of us are still mourning family members or workers who paid the ultimate price and succumbed to COVID-19 or have passed away to unrelated causes, but the grief has been that much more impacted because of the way the pandemic has impacted so many things. In Oshawa and in Durham Region, we have given back in many ways, including manufacturing much needed masks at the GM plant that Rebecca spoke of, and many mutual aid initiatives all across Durham Region. We've seen the Caremonger initiative pop up and is doing so well, and shout out to the folks that are doing that. But as we've heard throughout this whole virtual celebration, before COVID-19 hit, many were already on the brink. So we really need to work collaboratively about what comes next. As dust settles, we need to start to rebuild. I mean, many of us are already working on this, but we can't do it by ourselves. We can't change the economy on our own, but we know that it needs to be around a fair, generous, and inclusive society. So we do have an opportunity for change. And I wrote about this earlier in a letter to the editor that was published at the news. You know, we only need to look back to history surrounding the 1918 flu pandemic to see what can be achieved for the good of us all. More than 100 years ago, in the midst of a pandemic, workers were calling for change, just like they are now. And it led to one of the largest labor disruptions we've ever seen in this country, the Winnipeg General Strike. So the solidarity of workers paved the way for major health and safety reforms that are still with us today. So we'll once again need to ensure and rally together to ensure that no one is left behind. We're calling on all levels of government to replace lost jobs with better ones by hiring people to build green infrastructure, to educate our youth, to care for others, childcare, to give workers, also the levels of government need to give workers paid sick leave and a living wage. We could do so much more at the GM plant, for example. Green Jobs Oshawa has been raising this call. We can make electric fleet vehicles for government use. There's a feasibility study out there that shows how it can be done. It just takes political will. We're calling on strengthening of public health care to include mental health and pharmacare and home care, and end to privatization in the long-term care sector, like we heard Candace Rennick speak to, that that led the privatization that's led to death. We want reforms to employment insurance, disability benefits, education and training, as well as pensions to make sure that all of us are more secure when we retire, hopefully when we have a chance to retire. And we do hear some calls to return to business as usual or return to our normal. But for so many, that normal was not great and not a life that they deserve. We've seen the police killing innocent BIPOC people. There are systemic inequalities in our healthcare systems that have seen the majority of COVID-related deaths affecting the Black community. LGBTQI plus folks are still experiencing so much inequality and have been. We know that there are enough spaces in Canada where no one should be unsheltered, but yet so many are. Indigenous leaders and activists are continuously fighting for to protect their lands from ongoing development that just continues to happen. So these are just some examples of how business as usual was not so good. It wasn't so good for the precarious worker who was jumping from contract to contract. It wasn't so good for the commuter sitting in 4 hours of traffic and unable, to see their kids, or it wasn't so good for the person who had to stop working because they couldn't afford childcare. It's not so good when you think about folks that don't have access to mental health services that they need or the prescriptions that they need. So we don't really need to return to business as usual. And there's a bigger emergency on the horizon that we've heard talked about today too. And that's the climate emergency that we also need to band together. We do need a Green New Deal. So these are just examples about how our previous normal, our business as usual, failed so many of us. So really, the COVID-19 pandemic shows that capitalism fails workers. But we do have hope and new ways of organizing. We've learned these new ways throughout the pandemic, opportunities to connect, engage, and hold decision makers accountable. So we might not be rallying in the streets this year, but we are rallying for a better future for everyone. So let this be a call to continue to do this work. If you looked at all the videos we had today, all the faces that we saw, everyone that did the work in the different ways, and the network that we have here, we're all working towards a better future. And we will continue to do that work in the next coming days, weeks, months, into the year, into next year and beyond. Because we all know the only way through a crisis is the way that the labor movement has dealt with every challenge, together in solidarity. But not disingenuous solidarity where it's just, a hashtag, although I am a fan of social media for sure, but real meaningful solidarity. We also know the solidarity must not end with the pandemic. Let's remember this Labor Day who has the power, and that's us. The people have the power. And I want to thank everyone who took the time to sit and celebrate with us today in this new way. I want to thank the Society of Union Professionals who actually did a donation to Labor Day, and we were able to run radio ads for the first time, so that was pretty exciting. I want to thank CUPE 1281 member Elise Lilai, who did an amazing job putting this PowerPoint together and put so much time and effort into this presentation. And our CLC rep, Kim Kent, and all of you, once again, for all of your support throughout the years. The Labor Council executive, I know this has been a strange year. We still are trying our best to be out there and rallying the community. Please participate in the food drive or the donation drive. Donate, school supplies. We saw many places here that are accepting donations. And if you do make a donation on behalf of your affiliate or you, please inspire others to do so by using the hashtag Durham Labor Gives Back and post it on social media. And if you go to our website, there's a list of so many deserving folks that could use it. We know charity is not going to fix systemic issues, but we do want to make sure we have a way to band together. And we have some other exciting things that we're working on coming up. And if you're a Labor Council delegate, don't forget, we have a GMM via Zoom tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. So with that, we'll end with another song from Daniel Greer. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Solidarity to you all. Thank you.
My name is Daniel Greer. This is a song by a Canadian singer-songwriter named Greg McPherson. It's about the Sydney mines, probably one of the worst places to ever work in this country. A reason to remember why we have unions. Well, I slammed the door at quarter to 4. I was headed for the company store. I watched my children starve no more. Tonight I'm gonna feed them. I haven't worked in 40 days. In 23 I had no pay. And a week I'll have no place to stay. An hour they'll have to kill me. An hour they'll have to kill me. On the way I met Big Johnny Hines, the strongest man in Sydney mines. I told Big Johnny of my plight. His voice grew loud with anger. The day's as good a day to die as any day that comes to mind. I haven't home a sickly wife. I haven't worked since Easter. I haven't worked since Easter. Town job, mind the cold. The other half will leave when the mine starts to close. The people will have to starve together to head to the company store. They'll bring the army on us when the union gets too close to them. Burn it down, boys. Burn it down, boys. Burn it down, I said to the head. Shoot us down like our fathers, but like them, we're already dead now. Anger building tightly wound. We walk the cold road through the town. The story out, we'll burn it down. We'll burn it to a cinder. They held these words before my eyes. The doors and windows open wide. 10 more miners joined my side. Beaten, starved in anger. They're beaten, starved in anger. like our mothers, but like them, we're already dead and down.
Well, that was the entire presentation. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in today.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Labor Day.